All right, here it is, Tactical Tuesday. We're leading into our stand-up. I think we're going to have some potential demos. So I think one thing to think about there, Aubrey, is we can push those into what would be the Teaching Tuesday time, because that's that thing we not often do with demos. So don't feel like we have to rush things to fit within the bit. So that's just a heads up for 30 minutes. That being said, Michelle, anything tactical?
I thought so, but I can't remember now.
Okay. Aubrey.
Maybe come back. I'm sorry. The tests. Totally
It's okay.
I have two things, and one, I just wanted to post the group and see if this was the right time for a build for the service information, particularly for the appeals court. Right now, we just kind of give a block and we say, give us all the service information, and there's not a ton of guidance. And in the brief, I think that it would be really helpful to kind of ask that information for all of the other parties, whether they have an attorney or not. But I think it is like a little bit of a lift.
This exists.
It does.
Mia did a lot of work. I haven't seen the I haven't had a good chance to like go through and like look and see what all she's done, but I know she's done a lot on
awesome.
one of the forms trying to like make the certificate of service a lot better. And it would definitely, when I saw it, looked a lot better, but I need to find where she put that code.
So I was talking to Mia earlier today, so I will ask her where it is. And so thank you, Bryce.
Yeah, it just didn't get folded into some of the newer ones, but on one of them she had fleshed out, and the hope was then to go back and fold it in.
Yeah, because that feels like it would be something necessary for this, like at least outline for the brief that we would need. So great, that is a much shorter conversation than I anticipated, even better. And that actually rolls me into one of my other questions. Mia reached out and is looking for a form to do for a class that she's taking as a final project. I think she would need a new form, which I don't have on the list. So if anybody has anything brewing that they want to share with Mia, just let me know, let her know.
It's for a summer session, fall session?
She's doing a Harvard like mini degree, she said. She shared the link with what it's for, so I don't think it's through Suffolk. Let's see what it's called. But it is, she gets a grade. She has to pass it. Maybe it's like some certification. I wasn't exactly clear, but she's looking for a form to do for its computer science course. I'll share the link for what it is. It's pretty cool. But because it is for a grade, I think she would need to start fresh and build. And we don't have a fresh form right now that I know of. So she's looking for something. And then, so that's, if anybody has anything, let me know, or if you have a project for her. And then I had a question. In the grab bag, there is the update and migrate interviews from code we wrote in summer 2020 to the most recent runtime code. And there's a checklist out there. I was one looking for the checklist. I don't know who QuickTime event is in Trello, if anybody knows. Oh, thank you. If you have the checklist prepared, I can create it in
Which
Trello.
checklist? I was looking at the class.
To update and migrate interviews from the code we wrote in summer 2020 to the most recent.
I believe it's in the first column of the mass access.
Okay.
Stuff, because it's specifically for mass access, not for like everyone to do.
Okay. And then will this help with some of the old ones? Eleni's been doing testing and we're encountering a fair amount of errors, and I don't know if it's an error with the dev or if it's because things have been changed and updated and swapped out, like things like address. it is suddenly like doesn't like how address is in there. And I don't know if it's not connecting because we've moved a lot of stuff around, or if something's broken.
Well, it should still be referencing MA virtual courts, but maybe there's been like, I don't know. I don't think there's been development in MA virtual courts. So that is a bit confusing. How about I hop on a call with y'all?
Okay.
Take a look.
Thank you. And so that's just basically my
Aubrey,
last. Yeah.
Sorry, was it
Oh.
something like it couldn't find a address list? There were some methods that we weren't exporting to an update to packages needed. That may not be very specific, but
I heard about half of what you said, Quentin, but yeah, it didn't have a reference to an address, and it was one of those errors that I still don't know how to fully read them, and would need to reach out, but I wasn't sure if it was an update thing. So if updating the old interviews would solve a lot of the problems, I wasn't gonna go through and try to fix the all the interviews and rewrite them. So I'll take a better screenshot, and I have the error videos from Eleni and can just share those.
yeah, it might end up just being like updating the packages on the dev server.
Yeah.
But we should check that.
Because that's what I'd encountered when I was doing the audit. So I figured it might be similar. And so my last thing was, I just wanted to think about what to do with testing. If we're going to have Eleni do a lot of testing this summer, we need someone to be able to go back and do the coding. So that also made me think that maybe we should send Eleni down that 209A branch that you had, Quentin. So if we could set up time to do that, or you have it ready. I just don't want to have Eleni create a huge backlog and then not have anybody to put on things yet. And if 209A is the priority, I want to be able to focus her there rather than on some of the old stuff that we can't pay as much attention to at the moment. That
sounds like a good call. Let me dig up the link to the branch, and I'll put it on Teams.
Okay, thank you. And that was it.
Cool. Bryce, tactical things.
Tactical things. Not too much. I have gotten an email from David Benton that I think like just lays out like he got like a sort of test server for me to try and do some e-filing stuff with Jefferson Parish, and he sent that like Thursday afternoonish, right before I was leaving for the weekend, and so I didn't have really a lot of time to look at it yet, but I'm going to try and start tackling that this week, and would be nice to get some just some traction there, since it should be a relatively easy e-filing game.
Yeah, it would be a nice win to be able to, as far as the deliverables for the grant goes, to be able to say, hey, look, we've got this.
Yeah,
that's nice.
But otherwise, I don't think I have any tactical things, besides for, I guess I just don't, I haven't had a good finger on my pulse on how everyone's been doing well or doing with like the Weaver, or if there's been any, not even just like, I'm sure if it doesn't seem like there's been like too many bigger issues, but even if there's just like smaller issues of that we should be thinking of how people have been using the Weaver. I don't know, that was not well-formed, a well-formed thought, but just if there's anything that we need
if there's feedback.
If there's any feedback or something we need to think about improving there.
So that's something I'm sure, Aubrey, you might have heard some about as people got through. So if there are bits of feedback or things that would be useful to make the next time someone uses a Weaver, we can always make those issues. See, Quentin was, I don't know if that was the bird or Quentin.
I just accidentally unmuted. I guess I was just muting. Sorry.
Well, Bryce has muted, so it's up to you now, Quentin. So go for it.
Tactical stuff, I've still been kind of noodling around with the right way to handle background assembly of documents. I think it's been on our backlog for like the last year, but I think we need to do it. It's going to introduce some complications anytime we do caching, especially background caching. But some of our documents are just too big. So that is kind of a key for the 209A migration to be ready. But I think we might not need to wait for that to start sending stuff out for translation. Since I know that money has to be spent by the end of this month, I think we should probably go ahead and translate from that branch. So I don't think that any code changes are going to change the language.
That sounds.
Other than that,
reasonable.
I've been procrastinating by doing much smaller quality of life kind of fixes. And I also realized this week that we did this big push to finish updating the assembly line runtime code, but we never installed it on a production server. So I feel that will be a very safe change, but we still might want people to run through all the interviews and make sure we didn't break something that we couldn't see we were testing.
That sounds like something for Lenny. All right, cool. All right. Yes, Michelle.
I have my tactical Tuesday stuff, if that's okay. I've gathered my thoughts.
You've got it.
Well, okay, so let's not get too excited. So one thing is I wanted to check on where we were at with like checking in with people and how much they feel they're learning and if they need to work on new stuff or additional stuff. That was one thing. And the other thing is the testing. So we're like kind of have this short-term goal of getting people, of getting this to version 2 so that people can start using it. But the reviewer that I have is not as available. So things are kind of being held up and I keep on piling like a PR on a previous PR, which is just not ideal because it's going to cause conflicts almost certainly. If there is, I guess this is mostly Bryce, if you have time to take a look with me at the at those, like I can talk you through them. You don't have to look at them alone because you're not as familiar with the code, so I can.
You might also want to.
Yeah.
You might also want to see if there's someone else we could do that load balancing with. Bryce's plate is pretty full right now, and I want to.
Okay, yeah, that was the question. I don't know who. So if you have an idea of who, Bryce is at least a little familiar.
Yeah,
but I could
Bryce, maybe you have an idea since you're familiar. Maybe you would have an idea of at least what would be.
Someone else
who would be a good reviewer for this?
Yeah.
JavaScript, right? Like
yeah, that's the
and
biggest issue is because a lot of it is in JavaScript and which isn't necessarily the stack that I know a lot of the students have.
Yeah,
JavaScript is the main thing. Knowing DocAssembly is really, really helpful. And it looks like it's the same thing. Okay, sorry. Not focused. And something like experience with the DOM, like going, like HTML would be like almost crucial for some of this stuff, but maybe not for everything. So
yeah, I'm not sure if we have. I'm not sure that we have anyone with capacity and overlap. At least not right now. So I might just have to wait a little. So just pivot to, if you can pivot to something other than those reviews.
Yeah, well, I'll figure something out, or I'll just, try and build out what I can, and then deal with the conflicts as they come up.
Yeah,
like we're really close. We just I just need a few
No, and-
reviews so I can get
and-
to the next.
And
but
Bryce,
yeah.
if you ever want to take a break from other stuff because you feel like you need to take a break, it's fine. But
And
otherwise,
this
I
would be
think
a
we're
break. If this would be
uh,
a break, I'm not sure
exactly.
about that.
That's my point. If it would be a break,
Yeah.
but I think we really want to be careful of Bryce's time. We want to protect it because we've got a
Yeah.
limited amount of time and a deadline
For the
coming up here.
grant.
So
Yep.
yeah, so I want to be, if at all possible, to the extent that Bryce's sanity will support it, say all pew all the time. So it's all about what Bryce wants to break off to keep himself sane.
If I can help with the other stuff, let me know. But yeah, I think a lot of that work is just, one person work.
All right. So in regards to the first thing, I know Aubrey and I have been talking about thinking about what people's next projects are going to be. I think we'll learn a little something today when we look at where people are at. I think it's very possible, it always is, that the first things we give people will take a lot longer than we anticipate. So, but that gets to your question about whether or not they're learning and how
Specifically,
they're
like
feeling.
Regis is very advanced and Catherine is kind of at the beginning. And I think Regis, like, not on purpose, but is taking on a lot of the coding.
Yeah, we can have those. We can have more particularized discussions in a different venue.
Yeah, I just don't know if she
but-
should stick on there, like being an observant, like how long.
Well, I think I'm just saying I think that's a different venue, conversation for a
Okay.
different venue.
All right.
But Aubrey, you and I should talk more about that. All right, so Caroline, you're here. I'm glad to see you. I know things have been tough. Hi, what do you want to say?
I just figured I'd try to remind you that I am alive. It's been brutal, really brutal, but I think we're starting to, I'm trying to get back to work, get my head in the game and remember where I was.
If you want, you're the last on here. We could stop recording and do casual Tuesday for a second.
Okay.